What's up, everyone? It looks like I'm live now. I see Justin in the chat. What's up, Justin? Yes, for some reason it always says live in 4 hours. I still can't figure out why. It's a constant thing. There we go. People are starting to come. Zane, Aris, what's up, guys? Addison, what up? Bow, bow, bow. Greetings, Killer Robos. Anyone else here? Check into the chat, say what's up so I know you're here. We'll get started in a sec. While you're waiting, go ahead and take some notes. Get your title down, table of contents updated. All right. Kurt is here. What's up, Kurt? All right. So we are there. We're almost there, guys. This is getting close to the end, and it's not getting much harder. Okay, it's a coast to the end. This will probably be the hardest work for the rest of the school year, and I feel like most of you will say it's not even that hard, Mr. Stav. That's the idea, okay? So the plan going forward is we're going to look at central tendency this week, and you'll see there's some independent work and some things for you to do. And then next week we're going to look at, it's in my head and it just slipped out. We're going to look at probability, okay? And we're going to make some stuff, have some fun, okay? That'll be, the goal of that one is just fun, all right? Now, there's math involved, so there will be things that you have to do. There is work, but I think you'll enjoy it. And then from there on, we are going to turn our vision towards high school, and I'll give you some high school work, okay? And we'll kind of work through it. You can do it as a test for yourself, or you can come to Guided and we can kind of talk through it and just kind of see, are you ready for high school? What are some concepts that you need to kind of brush up on a bit, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you? Let me know in the chat that we're almost done. Let me know. 10 being super excited, so can't wait to be done with you, Mr. Stav. 1 means I don't want to leave you, Mr. Stav. Tell me what you got. What's up, Nathaniel? Nathaniel's here in the chat. Okay, before we get into the math lesson, I want to show you this. Okay? So, what this is a chance for all of you who have been showing up and actually been doing the work to bring your mark up. Okay? I want to congratulate those of you that are doing your work. Okay? Even with, me not breathing over your shoulder or constantly asking you for work. Okay, I really admire those students that are still doing their work and still working their tails off. Amazing job. So before I talk about that, looking at some numbers, Aris is so ready to be done with me. 9.99999 out of 10. Thank you, Aris. He just corrected that to 6. Kurt is a 5. Oh, right in the middle, eh, Kurt? Justin, Robles, you're all in the middle. You're ready to be done with me, but you're not ready to be done with me. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so what you're looking at on my main screen right there, okay, you'll notice that it is our independent work, and it's called Math Independent Work Distance Learning. Now, you will find this assigned in the Google Classroom. I just had it released just before the lesson so that you could see it while I'm talking. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to open that up, and you'll notice that there are 15 slides. Okay, now this includes the independent work for this week, so you haven't even seen this yet. All right, it features Dr. STAV, the dentist. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to take a picture, okay, of any independent work that you've done, and you're going to load it into here. Okay, now a couple of ways you can do this. With your phone, you can take a picture, and then when you go to photos, okay, you can press the share button, and then you can find Google Drive. You can upload to Google Drive. It doesn't matter if it's an iPhone or an Android, okay? And then from Google Drive, you can paste it in there. That's the harder way to do it. The easiest way to do it is go insert, and you've been doing this in science all year long, so I imagine most of you will do this. Okay, image, camera, okay? Once you've done that, there's me. Hi. A little behind the scenes look at my green screen. Okay. Hold up your work. Okay. And take the photo. Insert it. Stretch it. Okay. Now, obviously, I didn't do a very good job of it, but it's good enough. What I need to see as your teacher is I need to see that you have done the work. Okay? So, you will notice that this one is volume of a cylinder. And the next slide is the back side of volume of a cylinder. So once you take a picture of the front side, then you're going to flip it over and take a picture of the back side. Okay? And that's going to go on the next slide. And so on and so on. So week 1, we covered volume of a cylinder. Week 2, we covered surface area of a cylinder. Then who is that girl I see? Whoa, Rihanna's in the chat. Rihanna, what's up? Just so happens, Rihanna, this is your work. This is your work, Rihanna. Anyways, so we did translations and reflections. Okay. And so put that in there. Representing patterns. Okay, then we went to doing that. Okay, it's probably the hardest work we covered while we were off. Okay, on distance learning. This one was 3 pages. Okay, and then week 2 there was a second independent work that was assigned because we did representing patterns for 2 weeks. Okay, and then we talked about categorical, discrete, and continuous data. So there's 2 sides to that. And then this week is central tendency. Okay, so MrStav, what if I was kind of lame and I didn't do this week? Okay, then put in all the work that you did do. Okay, now I'll tell you, like this one takes about 10 minutes to do types of data. Right, so if that's the one you didn't do, then take 10 minutes and do it. Okay, so what I would do is paste in as many as you do have so that I can give you credit for the things that you did do. Okay, if you've been following along the entire way, I've said that I will find a way to give you credit for any of the work that you are doing. Okay, I've been working very hard over the last weekend. I spent a lot of time working on science, going through your science unit binders and checking for those of you that did do the work. Okay, so I can bump up the marks and work with the percents of those. Okay, so anyone who's been doing the work, their marks are going up. Okay, so bonus. Okay. Speaking of science, I'll probably talk about this on Wednesday, but a ton of you haven't finished your work and you did an open book test without finishing your work. I don't understand that. It's an open book test. Do all the work so the answers are there for you. So yeah, paste in your work and then submit it in the Google Classroom. Okay? Get credit for the work that you did. Okay? MrStav, what if I didn't have a printer? What if I wrote it out on paper? Then take a picture of the paper, put it in there so that I can compare it. Okay? I can see if it is the right work. Okay? So, boom, that's that. So let's pop that there so that it reminds you throughout the entire lesson. Okay? But today we're talking about central tendency. Okay? Does that sound familiar? Central tendency? Do you know central tendency? You've heard of it before? Let me know in the chat. What is central tendency? Catching up on the chat. Rihanna wants to know if I'm actually live. I am actually live, Rihanna. So what you say, I can see it. Okay. What is central tendency? Do you remember this? It's data management. What is it? Just watching the chat. I got my chat right here. Oh, all right. We have a nope. We don't remember central tendency. What if I used different words? What if I used the words mean, median, and mode? Does that sound familiar? Let me know in the chat. Have you heard of mean, median, and mode? And the next one is actually range. So mean, median, mode, and range. Have you heard of those before? Boom, there we go. Getting the yeses. Okay, so you've been learning central tendency, I think since about grade 5. Okay, maybe even earlier. Okay, so we are continuing with what you've learned about central tendency. Okay, so the curriculum says that you need to be able to determine through investigation, so by doing it, the appropriate measure of central tendency needed to compare sets of data. Okay, so mean, median, and mode. This is about finding information about a set of data. Okay, so we have the furthest one is mean, okay, which is a fancy word or a mathematical term for average. Median is the fancy term for middle. We'll talk about these more in depth. And mode is a fancy term for the one that appears the most. Okay, so I use this on every piece of data that I put into my mark book. Okay, my Excel actually determines the mean, the median, and the mode for every test that we complete as a class. Okay, it also does the mean, median, mode of all the math journals that I mark for you guys. Okay, so that I can see when marks are higher, when they're lower. Okay, and for science, I actually do the mean, median, mode of all 3 classes, and then I also do it for each individual class. That way I know, and MrStav's class did really good and Miss Vigilantum's class did really good and Mr. McKinney's class did really bad, then I know that there's something wrong with my data. We remember outlier, right? So I have this data that doesn't match all of my other data. So I can actually compare and say, maybe I didn't teach something right in Mr. McKinnon's class, right? And that happens, okay? So not to me though. I mean, I never make mistakes. So you know that, right, Aris? So you probably, hopefully you're taking notes. You probably will remember most of this, okay? And here's the thing, if you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, Mr. Stav, we've done this before, why are we learning it? Okay? Probably the most distinctive thing for grade 8, okay, is not that you can calculate mean or that you can calculate median, okay? The most important thing is understanding when do we use mean or when do we use median, okay? So what I'm going to do is cover again how to calculate mean, median, and mode, okay? Because you need to know how to do that, okay? This is an important skill that you have to know going into high school, okay? So I cover it at the end of the year to make sure that you remember how to do it. And then the most important thing coming out of grade 8 is that you know when to use mean and when to use median, okay? And if you were to look at your math journal, okay, then you can see that that's literally what the prompt is when do you use mean and when do you use median. It's not how do you calculate mean or median, it's when do you use it. So we'll get into that depth on that. Okay, so mean is the calculated average. Okay, so when you guys ask me what is the average of a test, you're asking me technically what is the mean. Okay, the median, okay, is the middle number in the data set. See what I did there? Look at this. Mean, median, mode. I put median in the middle. Genius, Mr. Stav. Okay. Median is the middle number of a data set. Okay. It's the number right in the middle. Okay. It's the value that is right in the middle. Look at this. There are 6 letters in the word median, and there's 6 letters in the word middle. So if you can't remember mean means middle, boom. You can thank me later. Okay. Also, you know what? When you're driving on the road, you come to an intersection. Right? That little thing in the middle where they put the stoplight on, that's actually called the median. It's the middle, right? So then cars go this way and cars go that way. And they have that concrete divide, that middle median, which is in the middle of the way. All right, facts. Okay, and mode means the data that appears the most. Now this is the easiest one to calculate and to figure out because you're literally just like, I see that number the most. Okay, it is not uncommon to have more than one mode. Okay, so if on the unit test I told you the mode was 87%, that doesn't mean the average is 87%, but it means the test result that I got the most was 87%. Now I just made that up number, so don't ask me if that's like facts or anything. Okay, I could check later in the stream. Okay, and the way I remember mode is the most is it's mo and mo. Mo equals mo, so we got mo. Mo money, mo problems. Mo. Okay, so if you're taking notes, you should have this. Mean is the average, median is the middle, and mode is the most. Okay, these things you learned since grade 5. Okay, nothing new here, but maybe it's a refresher. Maybe you just kind of, it slips out of your mind. Okay, and that's totally fine. That happens. It happens. All right. We won't do that. Okay. So let's start with the easiest one, mode. How do we calculate mode? Okay. First, you organize the data. Okay. Put it in order. Create a tally chart. So here I'm putting this data in order. Okay. So I'm just sorting it, right? So 26 was the lowest, and here was 26, so I put it in order. Oh, here we go. Right, there's 26, so I put it first. Okay, and then it makes it easier for you to see that 74 appeared the most. If you want to say, Mr. Stav, what if I don't want to put it in order? You do not have to put it in order. Okay, this is always me explaining the most basic ways to do things. Okay, so if you just wanted to look through and be like, oh, 74 appeared once, twice, and nothing else appeared twice, and then you would say, Mr. Stav, 74 is the most, that's fine. Okay? Okay, so we have single mode, we have bimodal. This is a prefix, right? So here's the word mode or modal. Okay, what does bi mean? What does the prefix bi? And this might give it away. What does the prefix try mean? Or not try hard. Okay, let me know in the chat. What is the prefix bi? So write bi equals, and what does try equals? Write it in the chat. Let me know. We have a single mode, we have bimodal, and we have trimodal. So what do you think bimodal means? Just going to let the chat catch up. There's about a 20-second delay. Excellent. Good job, Robles. Anybody else? Remember, spam that chat. If you got the answer, don't worry if someone else put it in there. I love to know that you're playing along at home, that you're fully engaged. Good. So Justin is saying and Kayla is saying that try 3, like a triangle or a tricycle, right? So 3 wheels or 3 sides. And bi, like a bicycle, is 2. So what do you think bimodal means? Excellent. Wow, Justin, just at that same time, wrote that this will have 2 modes, which means 2 numbers that appear the most. Okay, so hopefully while I was waiting, you kind of took a peek here. What is the mode here? Now, this is a single mode, so we're only going to have 1 mode here. Okay, now I won't always tell you that. So here the mode is 5. So 5 appears the most. Momo. Okay, on the next one, 2 and 5 appear the most because there's 2 5s and there's 2 2s. Okay, nothing else appears. Okay, and over here we have a trimodal set, and if you look, there's 2 2s, there's 2 5s, and there's 2 7s, and now I have a cool triangle looking, crown looking thing. So we could say that 2, 5, and 7 are the modes. Okay, so that's the trimodal. Okay, nothing crazy, didn't blow your mind. Okay, it's just important to understand that there can be more than 1 mode. Okay, so let's go on to the harder stuff. Okay, how to calculate an average. Okay, step 1, we're going to add up all the data sets. Okay, so I'm going to add up 74 plus 85 plus 93 plus 74 plus 90. Okay, this is what I do as a teacher to calculate the class average. All right, so let's say I'm literally going to go order of the chat. Justin got 74, Kayla got 85, Aris got 93, Jose got 74, and Kurt got 90, and Rihanna got 93.2, and Addison got 26. Ooh, Addison, ouch. Okay, so that's the data set of the whole class. Okay, someone was asking, how do I decide which names that I just name drop? And it's always just people who are in the chat. Because if I know you're here, then I'll use your name. All right. So I would add all of these up to get some massive number. So 535.2. Okay. And then the next step is you divide it by how many students are in the class, or how many numbers are in that data set. Addison says, wow, yeah, you should have studied harder, Addison. Sorry. Okay. So how many students are here? All right. So remember we had Justin, we had Kayla, 2, we had Aris, 3, we had Jose, 4, we had Kurt, 5, we had Rihanna, 6, and we had Addison, 7. So there are 7 students in my data set. Okay. So I'm going to divide that by, oh, look at that, I animated it. I always forget what I animate and what I don't. Okay, divided by 7. Okay, so that gives us an average of 76.46%, and I would round that to 76%. Okay, that's a typical test average. Okay, about 76%. Now, I probably should put this in to the into the PowerPoint. So let me just show you this. 535.2 divided by 7 pieces of data. Okay, 76.45. Okay. This is all these decimal places, but I'm rounding here to 76% because 4 is lower than 5. Okay. Again, you've learned this in the past. I'm not teaching this to you. I'm reviewing it, so I'm not spending that much time on it. Okay. So I'm going to give you some time right now to try this, okay, using this data set. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 6, 7. I have 7 numbers in the data set. Okay. So we need to add those together and then divide it by 7 because there are 7 numbers in this set. Tell me in the chat, what is the mean here? I don't think I'm going to wait much longer because the delay is so long. I am going to power through this mostly because this is review and it's more so getting to the end of the slideshow that I want to kind of take my time with. Okay. So we add these all up. It's 2 plus 5 plus 9 plus 3 plus 5 plus 4 plus 7. Okay, equals 35. You can see I'm using my calculator. Okay, and I'm going to divide it by 7. I got 5. What did you get? Where's my chat? Why are you all not responding? You guys are being slow today. Just feeling lazy, eh? Okay. I would say that the mean is the most work to figure out. So maybe you'd say it's mean of me to make you find the mean. That's a good one. All right. So it's a bit of work because you have to add them all up together and you have to divide it. Okay. Now it's not actually that much work, but that's kind of a different way of looking at it. It's mean of me to ask you to do all that work. Okay. Let's talk about calculating the middle. I actually think this one is the most annoying to do. It's not the hardest, it's just the most annoying. Okay? So we have to reorder. No sneeze. Avoided it. Okay? We have to reorder these from smallest to largest. Now, when we talked about reordering in the mode, you said, can I not reorder? And yeah, on mode, you don't have to reorder. You can figure it out. Okay? But with median, you have to reorder. Okay? This does not work unless you reorder. Okay? So I like to use the strategy where I tick off data so that I know that I've used it. Okay? I put it in order. Okay? If the number of data values is odd, okay, even and odd is different. And you'll see this in a second. Okay, so how many pieces of data do I have here? I have 7. That's an odd number. Okay, if it's odd, that's easy. Okay, because we just look how I'm going from the outside in. Okay, so I'm going to cross out the outside number, and then I'm going to go to the other outside number. Okay, so the lowest, highest, then the next lowest, next highest, next lowest, next highest, until I get to the middle. Okay, and that there, my friends, is the middle of the data. Okay. Now, why do I say odd versus even? So when you have an odd number of data entries, then there will always be a middle number. Okay. If you have an even number, okay, then we do the same thing, but we're going to have 2 middle numbers. Okay, and then we'll just find the average. So right in the middle of those 2 medians. So let's try this. So I'm going to add 98.4. Do you see how I'm doing that? Okay, so now instead of 7 figures, there's 8. Okay, do we see it? Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's an even number. So I'm going to reorder these. Okay. And I'm going to go from the outside in to the middle. Now before, 85 was the median, but now I have 85 and I have 90. Okay, and so here in grade 8, you're expected to not just declare that 85 and 90 are the median, but I'm going to ask you to find the average of those two. Okay, so what is the number that would be right between, evenly between 85 and 90? That's a great drawing. That was supposed to be an arrow if you're asking, which I know Aris is tripping me right now. Okay, how do we find the average? We just add the 2 numbers together. Okay, so 85 plus 90, and then we divide it by how many numbers we just added together, which is what we just talked about on the previous slide. Okay, about finding mean. Okay, so since there's only 2 numbers, I'm going to divide that by 2. So that's 175 divided by 2, which equals 87.5. Okay, so 87.5 is right between these 2 middle numbers. Okay, so I would declare that my median is 87.5. Okay. Are you with me? If you're with me in the chat, say, I'm with you, MrStav. And if you're Aris, say, I am not with you. Because Aris always does the opposite of what I say. Okay, so I think median is just takes a long time to do because reordering data sets takes longer. Okay, so I think that median actually is more work than mean. Okay, so I want you to try it. I've given you an odd number of elements or an odd number of data points and an even number. Okay, so do these, and I'm going to stop talking for like 30 seconds to let you give these a shot. Thank you to all of you in the chat. See, Aris, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. See, I knew it, Aris. You're always the opposite of whatever I say. Justin's with me. Kayla's with me. Kurt, you're with me. Ree, you were with me. Janae, holla. All right. So take a second, and I need to set up my other light. Shadows are weird. Boom. Look at that. See? Way different. Ever since COVID started, Paxton has changed so much. And he went from non-moving, non-verbal. Now he uses sign language to say more or please. And he's become like a little puppy. So no matter what I'm doing, now that he moves, he will crawl to wherever I am and he'll be like, please, please, please. He gives me the puppy face, and then if I don't give him anything, he just starts knocking things over. So my light is usually the first thing that he pulls over. So I had to move it over. All right. Hopefully you've taken that time. We've reordered it, and we found that the median is 5. Okay? And we just do that by scratching the smallest, largest, smallest, largest, smallest, largest, until there's only one number left in the middle. Here I reordered it. Smallest, largest, smallest, largest. 2 numbers in the middle. So we need to find the halfway point between 4 and 5. Now here, between 4 and 5, we know that 4.5 is the middle. Or you can do the math. 4 plus 5 divided by 2 equals 4.5. Okay? Mean, median, mode. Okay, the one that my students most often forget about is range. Okay, and range is not that hard to figure out. Okay, it's the difference between the largest and the smallest value. Yes, you've learned it. Yes, you probably forgot about what range is or isn't. Okay, so key word here is difference. What operation is difference? Is it adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Okay. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time here, so it is subtracting. So we're going to be subtracting. It's a subtraction of the largest and the smallest. Okay, so this is like mode. You do not actually have to reorder it. That's like it's a little bit extreme. Okay, you just have to be able to look at it and identify which is the highest and which is the lowest. Okay, so the smallest to largest, if I was to reorder it, would look like this. Okay, so all I really care about is the lowest, whoops, the lowest and the highest. Okay. So I'm going to subtract the lowest from the highest. And that tells me that our range is about 67. Okay. So it covers a range of 67 numbers. Okay. Nothing crazy. No crazy math there. Okay. Oh, thank you, Kayla E and Kurt in the chat. Oh, saying, subtracting. You guys are awesome. Thank you for playing along at home. Oh, and Zane. Oh my goodness. I gotta scroll up. Kayla, thank you. Justin, thank you. Rihanna, thank you. Zane, thank you. warms my heart. Lighting up the chat. Thank you, you guys. Okay. So here, if you try it, reorder it, give it a shot. I'll give you like 10 seconds because really you're subtracting the lowest from the highest. Okay. So it is not 2 take away 9. Don't make that mistake. Okay. That would be the highest from the lowest. Instead, it's going to be 9 take away 2. Okay. So that covers a range of 7 numbers. Okay. What is your STAV? There's 9. Yeah, but it's not 0 to 9. It's only 2 to 9. Okay. Shout out to Meher. Thank you, Meher. I see you playing along in the chat. Okay. Here's the important stuff. Okay. What we just covered, that was the review so that you remember how to do these. Thank you, Rihanna. This is more important to me. When do you use mean and when do you use median? Okay. The curriculum says determine the appropriate. Okay. When should I be looking at the mean and the median? Okay. A lot of parents, you have to understand this. A lot of what we do in math isn't regular to your parents' life. And so oftentimes when parents get report cards, they get a little bit confused because instead of writing class average, Ontario puts median there. And so sometimes parents look at that and they're like, median? Okay, and so it's important that you explain to your parents, well, Ontario has decided that the median is a more accurate representation of how our class did this year than the mean or than the class average. Okay, so some people consider median to be kind of like the class average. Okay, it is in the way that your parents are asking, right? They want to know, how did the majority of the class do? Okay. And what I'm going to do is explain why Ontario uses median and not mean. Robles is on the last page of our math book. Yes, Robles! If we were desperate, Robles, I would say I'll go to the school and get you a new math book. But I actually, because of my health, can't enter the school anymore because students started going in. So you're on your own, lady. You're going to have to put in some extra sheets in there. Okay, so here are 2 very, 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 very important terms that you're going to write down. And I would recommend drawing this picture, okay? As best you can, it doesn't have to be accurate, okay? And you know these terms, okay? So there's symmetrical and there's asymmetrical, okay? So symmetrical means it's the same on both sides, okay? So on the left side and the right side, it's like a mirror image. It's a reflection. Who is that girl I see staring straight back at me? Sorry. So, it is a perfect reflection. Photo booth. It's happening. It's happening. Okay, so symmetrical means it's the same on both sides. I learned this. Oh, this is really hard. Delicious. Little camera trick there for you. Okay, so symmetrical, made up on both sides. Asymmetrical, okay, which they're not. Okay, they're different. Are we cool to move on? Okay, so this is so important. When mean is used when the data is symmetrical. Okay, now in data management, this means a little bit different than what it does in geometry. So stick with me here. Okay, this means that there's no extreme highs in the data or no extreme lows. Okay, or we could say no extreme outliers. Okay, pulling from what we talked about last week, right? The outliers, the things that are like way outside of the data set. Okay. So symmetrical means it's pretty usual, or like we looked at on a scatter plot, um, it's got a good strength, right? So there's not any crazy outliers there. Okay. So if you look here, if we had kids being used in a musical, okay, most of the kids are about the same age range. Okay, they're if you were to be in this musical, okay, the 20-year-old would be the oldest, and the 13-year-old would be kind of young, right? The average age you're looking around is 17, 15, 16-year-olds. Okay, and you got like an old kid and got some younger kids. And then all of a sudden you got this 2-year-old. Who brought a 2-year-old to a musical, right? Maybe this is the kid that they needed, like the baby in the scene. I don't know. Okay? But we would say that this 2-year-old, okay, is an extreme score or is an outlier, and so that it skews our data. There's an important word. I would write that on the word wall if I was in the classroom. It skews the data, right? And it moves the median. Okay? So we'll look at that in a second. Yeah, I keep using that word outlier, and I was talking about last week. Remember? This is so much easier to see. Remember we talked about scatter plots, how this outlier, he's sitting out here. Whereas when you have data like this, let's not highlight the 2. Let's not have an arrow pointing right at it. Okay, outliers aren't as they don't stick out as much. Okay, I'll tell you, in my mark book, it sticks out because I got a bunch of zeros. Yep, got a bunch of zeros on there. We'll talk about that in a bit too. Okay, so on a graph, outliers are very obvious. Okay, and they help us understand if data is asymmetrical or symmetrical. Okay, so again, let's look at the ages of kids in a musical, and we have this kid who's 2 years old. So if I was to calculate the average age, including this 2-year-old, I would add them all together and I would divide it by 8 because there's, where's my mouse? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids in this musical. Okay? So the average age works out to be 14 years old. Okay? Well, by looking at this data, would you say that the average age was 14? Okay. Or would you look at that data and say that would probably be one of the younger kids in the cast? Okay. So let's add up that data. Go back to my calculator up here. Let's go 16 plus 14 plus 17 plus 20 plus 13. I'm going to leave out the 2-year-old, say 17, and add 15-year-old. 112, divide that by 7, not 8 because there's only 7 kids. I excluding that 2-year-old. Okay? That brings the average age to 16. Okay? And looking at my data, 16 is a little bit more representative of the age group that this that's putting on this musical. Okay, so it's the difference of 14-year-olds. That's you guys. So this would be like a grade 7 and 8 musical versus a high school 16, 17-year-olds. Okay, And for some people that would matter, right? Like, am I in a junior high musical or am I a high school musical? High school musical. You got to get your head in the game. Come on, Kurt. All right. So hopefully you understand there, right? That outlier, that extreme score of 2, that 2-year-old really skews the data, right? If you're looking, if I include the 2-year-old, then I would report to someone that this is a junior high musical, right? Mostly 14-year-olds in there, okay? But if I exclude the 2-year-old, my data would actually suggest that the majority of actors and actresses are 16 years old. So there's more high school students in this performance, okay? Okay, so this is important, write it down. Mean is used when the data is symmetrical, which means it gives equal weight to every value. Okay, it suggests that every person or every stat or everything that is in this data set has equal importance, is equally relevant to the data, so that it all gets put into the calculation. Okay, we use this in calculating grades. Okay, we are using this currently. We are meeting this week. Tons of meetings. Kirby's like, "Why are you meeting so much?" And I'm like, "It's grad. It's end of the year." We're meeting a lot as we talk about awards, right? Your academic award is a calculation, a mean of all of your academic subjects, right? So it gives equal weight. Right, so all of your math marks are put in, your science marks, your English, all of your French, all of that is equally weighted towards your potential academic award. Okay, and if you're watching this, I'm sure you're probably in a good spot, right? Because I mean, you are, right? You're in a good spot. All right, so we see it a lot in school, okay? And when I say grades, I'm talking about yours specific grades, okay? I'm not talking overall, okay? Look here, okay? This is a report card, okay? You'll notice the word median here. I talked about this earlier, okay? We use mean or average to calculate your grades, your average, okay? So out of all your grades, your average is 79.4. Ooh, just missed the academic award. I actually don't know if that's how it works here or not, but that would really suck. Okay, so why do we use median? Well, we're going to talk about that on the next page. You see this guy behind me? Okay, he hasn't worn that jersey in a while. Okay, but we use stats in sports a ton. Okay, and so we're calculating the average percent of field goals or shots that are inside the 3-point line. Free throws, that's when everybody stands around and watches the guy shoot. Okay, so, and we also calculate this is how many points he got in that game. But here, often on the TV, they'll report that he's averaging, PPG means points per game. So he usually gets 27 points per game. And so you see in this game, he scored 23, which is below the mean or the average that he normally scores. He normally scores 27 points per game. Okay, so we use mean a lot in sports. Okay, we determine average speed. We use mean a lot. Okay, especially like NASCAR or anywhere. Okay? Anything where we measure speed, we can find the average of that. Okay, for all of these stats, we can find medians as well. Okay, but typically this will have the need for all of the points. So we could say that his average is based on every single game. So let's say he didn't play half of a game because he was being a whiny baby. He's like, I don't want to play. So his average is actually going to go down, right? Because his value is going to go down. Just like having that 2-year-old in our data set brought it down, that's going to happen, okay? So we use the median when the data is asymmetrical, okay? And what this means, this is so important, write this down. This gives less weight to the extreme scores, okay? This ignores those extreme scores. So let's bring back our musical actors and actresses, okay? And we have this extreme score of a 2-year-old, okay? So here's our 2-year-old, okay? We calculated the mean before to be 14 years old, right? So we said the average is a junior high kid is in this musical, but really that's not representative of this data because it has extreme scores, okay? The median, let's sort them from lowest to highest. Okay, so let's cut out the lowest, cut out the highest, cut out the lowest, cut out the next highest, cut out the lowest, cut out the next highest. That brings us to 15, 16 years old. Okay, so yeah, someone might report that usually in this musical, about 15 to 16 years old is the usual age range. Okay, and so if you remember, we actually want to find the exact number in the middle. So we just go 15 plus 16 divided by 2, 1, 2, and that equals 15.5. Okay. Now, told you I'd talk about this, and I kind of moved past it. Why do we report on median, okay, on our report card? Why median and not mean? And the reason is because often there can be students who bring extreme scores. So this could be for any reason. Medical. Let's say a student medically misses quite a lot of school. So their marks are going to be lower, right? And that would bring the whole class average down. Okay, let's say we had another school who just missed school a lot, just didn't come to school, and missed. This has happened to me before. I had a student who would miss like the entire unit, and then come to school and write the unit test. Well, what mark do you think a student who hasn't been to any of my classes, done any of my work, is going to do? How are they going to do on my unit test? Okay, not great. Okay, so let's say they get a 13%. Okay, it happens. Okay, let's say I get a 2%. It happens. Okay, that would bring the class average way down, that extreme score. Okay, now what if I get 2 or 3 students who've been skipping or have medical issues or for whatever reason didn't do well? Okay, or what if I have a student who has a difficulty for mental reasons? Okay, for whatever reasons, their marks could be lower. Okay, and so that brings down the class average. So you get a misrepresentation. Well, what if I get a gifted student in our class? That's the other extreme. Okay, so they're crushing all of my tests. They get 100% on every single test. No matter what I give them, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. Okay, I've had that before. Okay, and it shoots up the class average. And so a student who's working at a normal average, let's say they're working at 75%, that's a good mark. Okay, but then like, let's say I have 2 or 3 gifted students in the class and they're crushing everything and they're at 100%, right? Also, my class average, instead of being around 75, okay, it all of a sudden jumps up to 83%, right? And so your parent might read that and be like, whoa, the class average is 83%? Wow, you should have been way better than that. Obviously, the teacher's an easy marker, okay? But that's not how it works. Okay, the class average is based on everybody who contributes to that class data set, okay? So, or the other way, 75%, and I have a number of students who give me zeros, it pulls down my average, and you're like, Sam, I got a 68%, but the class average is 50, so the teacher must be this really, really hard marker. So I did good. Okay? Or no, we just had students who pulled down the mean or the average. Okay? So the median is calculated as the middle number. It ignores the extreme scores, and it gives more weight to those middle scores. Okay? That's important. The median is really useful in real estate. Okay? What you're looking at here is a picture of Toronto. Okay? And I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Toronto's subway stations. Okay? But this is a super cool graphic. And but basically, here's Scarborough. I was born and raised here in Malvern. And I took a bus 30 minutes to here. And then I took the RT to Lawrence. And then I took a bus to high school here. It took me about an hour and 30 minutes to get to high school. And then when I went to university, I'd take a bus to Scarborough Town Center, then the RT, then switch to the subway. And then you switch subways and you come up to this yellow line. And you come all the way up to Downsview. It stopped here. And then I took a bus up to York University. YU. Eventually, that took a long time, so then I just took a GO bus from York. So that has nothing to do with the lesson. Kind of giving you some idea of Toronto. But what this is, let's zoom in here. Okay, here's Union Station. So if you're going downtown, Union Station is directly attached to the Scotiabank Arena. So this is where the Raptors play. Okay, or you could walk right here to the Skydome and the CN Tower. Well, these drawings are these are primo drawings. Okay, so downtown is very expensive to live, and I bet you that these are from 2018. Okay, they're already outdated. But what you're looking at is the prices of homes in these areas by these subway stations. Okay, so to live by where the Raptors play, the lowest that you're probably going to pay is about $786, and the top is about 1.6. Okay, now that's not the top. That's a median of like the upper range of houses, and the blue one is the median of like the lower ranges. Okay. Oh, I apologize. Orange is condo and blue is house. I apologize. Okay. So these are medians, not mean. Okay. And I think about it. If you're buying a house, okay, and you want to move over by Kipling, okay, and oh man, I forget where it is. I forget. But Drake just bought a house somewhere, and he made it, and so instantly everything went up in price. Everything is way more expensive. It's up here somewhere. Okay. Now Drake owning a house in an area, his house is going to be way more money than anyone else's home. Okay, that is called an outlier. Drake living in your community is an outlier. His home is not going to be comparable to the price of most of the houses in that area. Okay, so he spikes that data. So if you use a mean and a real estate agent is saying, okay, well, if you want to buy in this area, the average price of a home is 3.3 million. You'd be like, nope, can't do it. But they said, well, actually, the median is 1 million. And Drake lives there, so it kind of skews the mean up a little bit. Then you're like, oh, okay. And then if you're like me, you're like, I still can't afford it. Like, bring me down to like the 3, 2, 1. Free. Do you have any free homes? Okay. Right, so if there's a home in Scarborough that's worth $5 million, this would skew the data, right? So here's Scarborough Town Center, okay? And you see the average home, I'm looking at the blue one, so the home is about 7.7, or it's about 700,000, okay? Almost 800,000, okay? But if someone had a home for $5 million, that would skew and bring that average way up, and it would not reflect the average price of homes in Scarborough. Okay, and so that would deter people from buying there. Okay, and so there it is. We do the same thing on your report card. Okay, we use that median so that the extreme highs and the extreme lows aren't skewing your parents' understanding of me as a teacher, how hard I am as a marker, or how easy I am as a marker, or how hard or easy the course was. Okay. So, some new words for you. We have central tendency, we have mean, we have median, we have mode, bimodal, trimodal, the word range, symmetrical and asymmetrical, and skew. Okay? Now, I am not worried about your math journal. However, I will tell you this. The most important thing to me in this unit is the concept of when to use mean versus when to use mode. Okay? I would recommend that you work on this math journal so that you understand when to use mean and when to use mode, mean and median. Okay. I'm going to put this up. This is a graph that is on your independent work. If for some reason you can't read it, obviously you can zoom in on the PDF, or you can come back to this part of the video so you can see it bigger. Okay, so there's independent work. If you joined us late, okay, I'll bring this over to the main screen. You need to go to your Google Classroom, and you need to open up this Google Slides, okay? And you need to take a photo of any of the independent work that you have finished during distance learning at home, okay? Paste it in there, okay? And I will go into my mark book and I will give you credit for all the work that you've done at home, okay? I will not take off marks if you haven't done things, but I can boost your mark, okay? Honestly, online learning is like primo for you because you can only bring up your mark. It's like, why not? Why wouldn't you, right? So hand in anything that you've done, submit that to me, communicate with me, all the hard work that you've done, and but you need to do that by the end of this week, okay? Because I have to get your marks in, okay? So don't waste time and then say, MrStav, I really did do the work, but I forgot to hand it in. Don't have time for that, okay? You need to do it, tell me you did it, and get it into me ASAP before Friday, okay? So if you hear me say got it in the chat, okay? So that is that. MrStav.ca/math. You will find my lesson slides. Where is it? Here it is. You will find my lesson PowerPoint, the independent work. I have a game on there. This is fun. This isn't mean, median, mode related. Tech center, traffic jams. This is kind of a fun mind puzzle. Thank you to all you in the chat that are saying you got it. So you pick a 5x5 or a 5x6. Start on level 1, puzzle A, and you got to move the cars out of the way to get the main car out of there. And I did that in 9 points. You let me know your score. That's just for fun. It's good to kind of keep your math mind going. All right. So it is not assigned. You do not have to do that. That is just for fun if you're bored and you wanted something to kind of challenge yourself a little bit. They get really hard. I do have students that have finished all of the puzzles. Okay. With that said, good luck. I'll see you Wednesday for our next lesson of science and for our water systems PO. We're going to talk about how water gets cleaned. Okay, so I'm going to say bye, everyone. Thanks for joining, and I hope you're enjoying the nice weather outside. Okay, peace out. I actually have to run because I'm late for staff meeting. We have a staff meeting. They're going to give us some updated information. Before I say goodbye, your teachers are working extremely hard to make grad awesome for you and make it special. So keep your ears open as we explain things. I'm going to be sending out a text, probably, or Mr. McKinnon will mention it in your Google Hangouts. We need you to do a survey, so things are coming. All right, just be ready and be flexible for us. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys, and I hope you guys have a great day. Adios, amigos. Later. Peace.